everybody, how's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am here with another overdue update. Yeah, it's been a little while. Real quick note here, if you hear some click-clacking, that is Thor and his super ridiculous long nails that he won't let me cut, walking on our hardwood floors. Stay tuned to near the end of the video because I might have a guest appearance / interview. I wonder what that could be. Anyway, so today is Wednesday, April 4th, 2018. This is my fifth take of the fifth time I've tried to film this video. But nonetheless, we're going to get through it. I have just a heap ton to show you today. Again, I've got the general fare. I have my whips and I have some haul. I'm also going to talk to you about some knitting. I'm not talking books today because I haven't read anything, so no sense in talking about that. And then I also grabbed Q&A. So yeah, we're gonna jump right in. But before I get to anything else, I was asked by an OG FlossTuber, Chelsea. She is Chelsea Gillesco here on FlossTube. She goes by her married name on Facebook and whatnot, and she is trying to get in contact with a couple of YouTubers, and so this is sort of a public service announcement. Metal Scrappin' Chick, usernames I'm going to put here in the center of the screen, as well as Shadow Girl. I don't know if you guys watch my videos, but Chelsea is trying to get in contact with you. So I think that what the best route to go here is for, if you see this, if you are Metal Scrappin' Chick or Shadow Girl, if you could comment on this video below, and then I will alert Chelsea, and then Chelsea can get in touch with you and handle whatever it is that she needs to. I don't know the specifics. She just asked me to see if I knew how to contact anybody, and this is really the best way that I can think of. YouTube messages can be so sketchy. So I thought maybe if those two watch my videos, then maybe we can get people to meet up and talk about what they need to. So I hope that solves it for you, Chelsea. And if FlossTubers watching this want to sort of make the announcement too, let's spread the word out, just so that we can get these people in contact with Chelsea. So now that that's taken care of, let's go ahead and talk about where I've been, because I'm late again, and so probably should explain why. So following the movie, I'm just going to call it the movie from here on out, but my last episode, I sat down to film the following Wednesday. I was like, all right, we're getting back on track here. This is great. Sit down to film, and I'm done in under 15 minutes. And I talked for as long as I possibly could, but I had one project, I had zero haul and nothing else to talk about. So 15 minutes for one project, I mean, that's stretching it out even under my standards. And I can't follow up a 3-hour movie with a 15-minute shorty. That just, nope. I was like, I've got to come up with something else here. By the way, let's talk about the movie real quick. Thank you to everybody who watched that. I was shocked that it was that long. I just got on a roll, and I guess you could say that I went a little bit stream of consciousness and just sort of said everything that I could have possibly said about every project, and kind of just kept rambling on and on and on. But I'm just really grateful to everybody who liked that and who enjoyed it and who watched it and who everybody that just was really supportive in the whole thing. I debated while I was editing cutting it up and trying to upload smaller pieces, but I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be the FlossTube movie maker, I might as well just embrace the title and just go with it. So why not upload a video that's almost as long as Titanic? Anyway, so thank you to everybody who watched that and enjoyed it. I hope that you did. And if you didn't, don't worry, that's not my normal. I think I have 2 videos that are extraordinarily long. My WIT parade, where I showed like almost 80 projects, and that one. And then the rest are north of an hour, but like that's not standard fare. I do talk a lot, and that's just me. So yeah. So anyway, back on track here. I could not follow that up with a 15-minute video. So I thought, all right, table this idea. I'll come back next week. I knew that the coming week I was going to be working on a few more things, so I'd have a little bit more to talk about. So Tuesday night, the following week, I get everything prepped and ready to go. I'm like piles on my dining room table here, ready to go and thinking that I could probably fill 45 minutes. So I was like, that's fabulous. So Wednesday morning, and it started Tuesday night, but Wednesday morning we woke up to half a foot of snow. And it snowed all day. And it was our first legitimate true snowstorm in almost 2 years. We didn't have a winter this year, and we didn't have a winter last year. And so this particular Wednesday, the day after the first day of spring here in the Northern Hemisphere actually, was Danny's first snow day in 2 years. And so he was home for the day, and so I decided not to film that day. I was like, you know what? We're going to take advantage of this snow day. I'm not going to film like while he's out shoveling because he handles the shoveling and he won't let me participate. I was like, we're gonna spend the day together. We're gonna play board games and I'll do some stitching and we're gonna take a snow day. So I didn't film that day. And I thought, all right, well, I could film on Thursday, but I really, really like Wednesdays. Wednesdays are my day. I am at a point right now where I really like to schedule things. I like to schedule my day. And it just works out so beautifully that I schedule film days on Wednesdays. So, okay, fine. So then we get to last week. Last week, I didn't film in the middle of the week. I was like, you know what? It's fine. It's too late. Tried to film on Friday. Got through it. It was 2 hours long. And while I'm editing, I'm like, I hate this. I hate this video. Like, I don't like the words that I'm saying. I don't like I don't like where I'm placing the emphasis in the video. It was over an hour's worth of knitting talk. Like, that's probably not necessary. So I scrapped it. I was like, I need to put out, my goal is to be a little more consistent, but I also want to put out consistent quality videos that I am not necessarily proud of. I mean, that's a bit of a stretch, but just videos that I deem worthy of the effort that go into them. And that just wasn't it. It just wasn't it. So start over. And so then I was going to film on Monday, but we had this weird kind of spring thing happen, and I had crazy allergies and both of my eyes were like swollen shut. It was so not cute. But I was not filming on Monday. We're back into what I might consider second winter, although today it's 70 Fahrenheit outside. We're in this weird Virginia fluctuating spring, winter, spring, winter. There are 2 snowflakes in my forecast in April in Virginia, which is bizarre, but whatever, it is what it is, the weather. Anyway, and so we had this little spring for a couple of days, and now we're back into winter, and so the pollen is like decimated at this point. So back on track. So here we are today. Tried to film a few times now. Finally succeeding here today. This thing is going up. I already feel better about this than I did last week's attempt. So this thing is going up. I am going to switch gears here and we're going to talk about Q&A. And so the first question is coming from Felicity, who is Flissy Fish Cross Stitcher. I got it. Okay. Felicity, I'm really sorry, but your channel name trips my tongue up all the time. Anyway, so Felicity is getting into knitting. She's learning to knit along with a whole host of people via Caroline from Off the Grid Needle Arts and her knitting tutorials. And so Felicity is jumping in with that as well. I think that Felicity's mom knit, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. So Felicity asks if there are any other online knitting stores that I might recommend. I always talk about Eat Sleep Knit. I also talk about Woolly Wonka Fibers a lot, but Felicity's asking for maybe some other recommendations. So I listed 3 here. One is along the same lines as Eat Sleep Knit, and it is the Loopy U based in Colorado. So again, another United States vendor. And a lot like Eat Sleep Knit, they carry a lot of different dyers, mostly smaller dyers, mostly like home business dyers, who are, Thor just stretched and it was really adorable. Mostly small home dyers who are branching out and starting with some wholesale orders. And so the Loopy U is a really great resource for that. The Loopy U carries some of the same yarns as Eat Sleep Knit, but then also some different ones that you can't find at Eat Sleep Knit. So that's a really great resource. I've bought from them. Slightly different to that is Webs, which is yarn.com. Webs carries some of the dyers, but also a lot of commercial brands, and their prices are always super reasonable. So if you are looking for if you're looking for something that's a little bit easier on the wallet, then Webs is a really great resource, and they have a million different things. They also have some art yarns, which is kind of fun. And then Etsy. But Felicity is based in Australia, so I pulled an Australian dyer that you have to check out. And it is Bombed Yarns. Bombed Yarns is run by our very own Jan from Thread Garden. So Jan got into knitting, and now she is partnered up with somebody. I don't know their relationship outside of running Bombed Yarns, but they hand dye yarn and they sell project bags, and they are based in Australia. So Felicity, that is a really great resource for you. Etsy is a phenomenal resource if you're looking for yarn. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Etsy. That's where a lot of the smaller dyers get their start. So that is my recommendation. And then I will link all of those in the description box below. If anybody else has any yarn, online yarn shops that will ship to Australia, put them in the comments and I will forward that information to Felicity. We're getting a visitor. Hello, darling. How are you? I know you're sleepy. You're not normally up at this time. Yeah, you're normally settling into nap number 3. No, I'm not going to play right now. Okay. Hope that helps, Felicity. Next question comes from Julie Gomery. And Julie says, hey, question for you. I noticed you said that you use Peacemaker needles. That's all I used to use, but have been unable to find them, and I've used up the ones I had. Where do you get them? 123stitch.com carries them. And I just ordered some, so I know that this is still the case. Julie, when you asked that question at first, I was a little bit panicky. I was a little bit concerned that 123stitch stopped carrying them, but they have them, and I think that they carry 26s, 24s, and 28s, and maybe another size. I use 28s, and I just ordered some like a week ago, so I know that they still have them. So that is a resource for you if you're looking for the Peacemakers. Stitching Joanne asked a question that several others have asked as well. And Stitching Joanne, I just realized when I pulled these questions that I never replied to you directly. And I replied to several directly, but I don't think that I ever replied to Joanne. So her question is, where do you get the Russian herb pattern from? And she's referring to the herbal grimoire that I showed in my last video from Samplers and Stories on Etsy. And that's the Russian designer. And like I said, I found that on Etsy. So I'm going to link directly to her shop in this in the description box of this video, and then Joanne, I will reply to your comment on the last video with the link as well. Sorry that I missed that. But her question brings up a really good thing. I have in some semblance of confidence that if you are interested in stitching the herbal grimoire, to hold off a bit. There is maybe a cow. I'm looking at the yarn and I say cow. There is maybe a stitch along coming up where that one would fit in pretty perfectly. I received this notice from a certain somebody, and I won't go into details, but I also don't really have the details to even go into. But if you are looking at stitching that and you're looking at starting it, hold off a little bit until some more information is made available, if that's not cryptic enough for you. Okay, next question comes from the Princess of Pink 83, and the Princess of Pink asks, with the Mill Hill Snowman, what number of threads are you using on the perforated paper? And I believe that they talked about how they've received sort of mixed advice, whether using 2 or 3 strands. So the kits always say to use 3 strands, and that's what I have done. It is 14 count, and so sometimes on 14 count fabric you can get away with just 2 strands, but I have always used 3 strands on the Mill Hill kits for the cross stitching, because the holes are so big that in order to get decent coverage you've just got to use the 3 strands. It's a pain because you can't loop start, but it's kind of a necessary evil. And then 2 strands is used for the beading and any back stitch. But I generally speaking go the recommendation of the Mill Hill kits. Now some of the older ones might not have that recommendation, but all of the ones that I have stitched, it says specifically, like stitching with DMC 310, use 3 strands for cross stitch, etc. Okay, next is a question from Jasmine Ravenclaw, and she wrote this, and I will quote it specifically. She says, I'm starting my first project that includes beading, and I have to say I'm intimidated. Don't be intimidated. It's fine, and it's a lot of fun. She says, the pattern calls for 28 count linen, but I prefer doing it on 32 count linen. Should I use petite Mill Hill beads instead of the called for regular size glass Mill Hill beads? So the short answer is I would not recommend swapping to the petite Mill Hill beads, because those are generally speaking built for 36 count over 2 or 18 count, because they're really, really tiny. And so I don't know if you're going to get the I don't know, but that would not be my recommendation. 32 count linen and Mill Hill beads, it gets a little tight. Not going to lie, it gets a little tight because those Mill Hill beads are seed beads, and so sometimes they're a little bit inconsistent, they're a little wide, they're a little chubby, they're a little long. Sometimes they don't fit perfectly. However, I like 32 count linen as well. It's kind of my favorite. And so I have done a ton of stitching with beads on 32 count linen. So let me show you a couple. I brought a few with me, and I'm going to bring this chair closer so it might make noise. So the first one I have here is on a standard linen. It's not a dyed linen, but it is the 32 count. And this is Electra, and by Nora Corbett, which I finished November of last year, after Halloween. And so this is on the called for 32 count milk chocolate linen by Witchelt. And I used the called for beads here. So you can kind of see, you can see those there. Now, here's the thing about 32 count linen and the beads. Sometimes you might have to omit 1 or 2 to make them fit. That is the case with any sort of beading, really. I have run into that with delicas. I have run into that with, obviously, these Mill Hill beads. I prefer to set my beads with a full cross so that they are directionally straight up and down as opposed to on a half cross diagonally as it recommends in most patterns. And as a result, like for instance right here, you can see these 5 beads right here. It was probably charted with 6, and I had to remove one because they were not going to fit in the space allotted. Now, right there, obviously it doesn't really matter that I get 5 or 6 beads in a particular space, but just to keep it balanced, I decided to just omit one. And it doesn't take away from the design or anything to have omitted one. So there's that. Okay, so Electra is just on a standard linen. Now let's talk about hand dyes, because let's face it, we like using our hand dyes, right? So here is my most heavily beaded project I think I've ever done. And it is Persephone by Mirabilia, which I stitched on 32 count Belfast in Tempest by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. So this is a dyed fabric. And it's rather a darker color. The darker, generally speaking, the tighter the fabric is going to be. And I used all of the called for beads in this one as well, except for the bugle beads. I went with the shorter bugle beads per D-Stitcher's recommendation. Thanks to you for that pro tip, by the way. Because the full length bugle beads that were called for were never going to fit. But that has nothing to do with the width of them. So I'm just showing you the most heavily beaded section down here. And I know, guys, it's not framed yet. Don't be mad. So down there is really where the beads got heavy. And just like I said with Electra, I just would omit one here and there, and that would make them set in there just fine. Could I have crammed in 5 or 6 beads next to each other in that space? Probably, but then they would have warped and they wouldn't be in perfect little swirls like they are there. I love her. It's always nice to get to pull Persephone out because she's just so beautiful. So, yeah. So there's Persephone. Jasmine, the long and short of it is, don't worry about switching them to the petites. You might have a hard time finding the right colors because sometimes Mill Hill doesn't quite get the whole line in the same color. And those are really, really built for like really small counts. So there's that. My final question is coming from Kirsten McNally, and Kirsten, she asked if I would mind sharing my whip tracker, and I would love to. I would love to be able to share that whip tracker because it works really well for me, and so I think that it may work really well for others. Here's the caveat to that. I use Mac programming, and that whip tracker was created using Mac programming. And so distributing it to the general populace where most everybody uses Windows, and more specifically Microsoft Word, whereas that was created using Mac numbers, the translation doesn't happen. So I am going to make a note of it some point in the next week or so to work on a Microsoft equivalent or a Google Spreadsheets equivalent that will work. It's not seamless. It's not automatic. It doesn't, like, I have to go in and edit the formulas and I have to go in and edit the conditional highlighting each month. So it's not a perfect system, but I'm going to try to make an effort of making it a better system here this week, or within the next couple of weeks. So Kirsten, stay tuned for that. I will get back to you if and when something becomes available. Okay, so that's it for the Q&A. Woohoo! We did it! Now, real quickly before I start talking about whips, I want to talk about another piece of organization that I just started using. And it is this. Now this, it's a little outdated already. So this is March, and so I just numbered the date from start to finish, 1st through the 31st of March. And then on this column, we have my planned projects. So these are the projects that I was planning on working on for these various days. And essentially, if there's a space, then this project here just drags down those spaces, etc. Over here is what I actually work on. And the reason that I did this is that I kind of wanted to see, I mean, I threw out my rotation in March. We all know this. But I wanted to see how close I stayed to it. And so I write down what I actually work on, and then I place a check mark there if it lines up. And so for 20 days of March, I have 6 checks. But like I said, we knew that I was sort of taking liberties with my rotation at the end of March there, so not all that surprising. So then here we have April. And April, I have my plan, and I haven't filled this out yet, but I will. So there's that. Just another piece of organization that I started using. I got to get that into my bullet journal because I'm having this issue where I've got like computer files and printed files and my bullet journal, and I need to get it all into one for sanity's sake. So there is that. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch gears and start talking about some works in progress. I have everything that I've worked on for the last few weeks. It is in chronological order this time, which is just splendid. It makes me so happy. But interspersed in amongst the whips, I also have some finishes. So I have some big finishes as well as some small finishes. And so let's just go ahead and get right into it. So last we spoke, I was working on Birthstone Dragons by Ingleside Imaginarium, and so preview here of what this looked like at that time. I had talked about maybe continuing with my rotation as it stood, or tossing it completely out the window and working on whatever I wanted to. And so that's what I did. I tossed it all out the window and I worked on Birthstone Dragons until it was done. And so I finished it. This is also the reason why that video in the week following the movie was only 15 minutes long, because this was the only thing I had worked on. But nonetheless. So I finished this on March 13th. And so I'm just going to pan up and show you the finished piece and what it looks like here today. There it is. So let's talk about a few things. First of all, I'm just going to, whatever it is, what it is. My fabric is a 32 count Belfast in Sparkling Diamonds by Crafty Kitten Fabrics. I had a look on her website to see if it was available, and it is. So I originally thought that this was limited edition only for the Birthstone boxes, the limited edition boxes from a couple years ago, but it is in her regular line. So if you're looking for like a pale blue with some pink and purple tones to it that don't ever show up on camera, this might be a really great option for you if you're looking for something that specific. So, I love this. I love how sparkly it is, and just all of them are so darling. So let me talk real quickly about some of the changes that I made. We all know that I changed the border from DMC to Petite Treasure Braid number 26, which is Aztec Gold. We all know that I replaced the stitched gemstones with these Charm Me collection from Hobby Lobby. There are these little teardrop looking gemstones for each of the birthstones. What else did we change? The corners here were supposed to be stitched, and instead I replaced them with beads. I had always planned on replacing them with beads, but my plan sort of throughout the year was to do black beads or onyx looking beads or even silver. And rather than try to pull a black or an onyx or a silver that could clash with some of them. I don't know that black necessarily would have, but silver or onyx might have. I decided to go with gold, and I was perusing fusion beads for some Japanese seed beads, and I found these, and these are 24 karat gold lined, so they're just kind of super fancy. One thing that I noticed once I finished this, all of the ones down the center, their gemstone is attached with some sort of chain. So this one is a chain hanging from her tail. This one is a chain as a necklace around his neck. This is another necklace, and it's extraordinarily long. And here's another one from the tail, right there. So I thought that was kind of interesting that only the chain ones are in the center. And really, that was done just purely to make it fit, to make it sort of make sense for these gemstones and their placement. Let's see. So the dragons that you didn't see, I did turquoise for December. December is Danny's birth month, and the gemstone is this. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but it is this gorgeous turquoise with like these dark veins running through it, like a true, actual, real-life turquoise would be. So I thought that was really cool. All of the rest of these look pretty crystalline, but that one is, it's matte, and it's gorgeous. And then we have topaz here, which was a lot of fun, and I made his chain in maroon, because maroon and orange. That's my life. And then tourmaline over here is really interesting. So of the birthstones available, tourmaline was not an option. And so I went with the opal charm, because that's what I could do. And then he is standing on a gemstone, and so I did the opal for that as well. So I'm just kind of going with the story that he is an opal obsessed tourmaline dragon. And with that gemstone down there, rather than backstitch it in black, I backstitched with PB10, Petite Treasure Braid 10, just to make it look like a natural opal. I also blended the DMC threads with Glisten Gloss by Rainbow for the sparkle, like I did up here for Emerald. So yeah, so there it is, all finished. 30 days from start to finish. Started December 26, 2016, finished March 13, 2018. 30 days. Much fun. And I've been asked the question several times, okay, so you finished that one, are you going to start Guardians? Not yet. Not yet. Oh, Brittany, you're something else. I have loved stitching this. And I'm really kind of sad that it's over. Half of the fun for me, honestly, was figuring out how I was going to make the gemstone work. How was I going to make that fit? Some of them were really obvious, like these two and this one. Really, these four over here, it was a pretty obvious decision. Some of these were more complicated. I don't know. This was a lot of fun. I really loved this. And I will have to get it fully finished somehow. It's going to be difficult with those giant charms on there, but I'll have to figure something out. So that was that, and that was my, let me see, second finish for 2018, and my fourth finish for Year of Whips 2.0. So we're on a roll, slowly but surely. Okay, so I finished that up in the morning of the 13th, and being as it was the 13th, dark 13 stitching, gotta pull out something at least marginally spooky. So what I pulled out is not spooky at all, but it's on the darker side of things, and that is Mirabilia's Raven Queen. Needle minder here from No Name Needle Minders. I became insane with long intervals of horrible sanity. A quote by Edgar Allan Poe. I stitched on this for the EAP Macabre Sale, hosted by Bewitched Stitches. And preview here of what this looked like the last you saw it. I worked on this for 4 days, but I gotta tell you guys, my progress for 4 days was kind of not a ton was accomplished. A little bit. There's definitely some noticeable changes here, most specifically in this region. So yeah, my fabric here is a 32 count Belfast in Haunted by Picture This Plus. This is one where I'm a little bit concerned about the beads because it is a very dark dye and the fabric is pretty tight. I substituted the black for Anchor Black because I like that inky black coverage. I'm always concerned with that though, because I think that it takes away from the effectiveness of the folds in the fabric here. I don't know. Anyway, so like I said, I filled in this region here and came down here. I think I did these grays. So I made some progress. I met my goal for the month. My goal was 1,200 stitches and I did 1,256. But, you know, not quite the progress I was hoping for on my oldest Mira. I thought that by stitching the blues in here, I would maybe hide Edgar Allan Poe's face a little bit more, but no. It just kind of makes it stand out even more. It looks even more like a collar. Such as it is. So there's that, and I will have to get back to this. I don't know when, but nonetheless, it is gorgeous. It is so beautiful. I love those blues. Tiffany blues looking. So, as I said, I worked on that for 4 days, and that brought me to March 17th. And I think that after my 4 days, I was done. Like I was checked out with the project, and so I was ready to switch. And the 17th was a Saturday, I think. Yes, it was a Saturday, and it was Lady of the Flag weekend for my Mirabilia weekends this past March. And so I pulled out Lady of the Flag because I'm not usually one to turn away from more opportunities to work on Lady. So here's what she will look like finished. And a preview here of what she looked like the last time you saw her. This is on a 32 count Belfast in Vintage Blue Whisper. I almost said Stormy. Vintage Blue Whisper by Zweigart. You can see that I made pretty great strides. I worked on this for 2 days, and I made some pretty great strides in those 2 days. So my goal for the month was the middle third of this top half. And I had 2 stitches left when I went to work on this in the middle of March and finished those up real quick. And then I decided to just work as far down as possible, but working my way from flag to dress. And so the flag actually dips down into the bottom half. I've got the flag completely done on the top half. And then I've brought some of the dress colors as well down a little bit further. I didn't quite get the top half done in March. I had kind of amended my goal so that I could do that, but because I never went back to it, that was just not going to happen. Oh my goodness. This just, it blows me away every time. Every time I pull it out and look at it, and I show you guys on camera, and I get the real perspective of it back here, more gallery view. She's just so impressive. So impressive. So that is where she finished up in March. And I think I did north of 3,000 stitches on her in March, which is a lot. Oh, one thing I did want to mention. At this point right here, I've worked on her for a total of 30 days. 30 days effort have gone into her top half. That's not bad. My winter white Santa that I finished up a few years ago, 98 days from start to finish, and that was the only thing I worked on basically for those 98 days. So we'll see sort of where Lady of the Flag stacks up against that. I think it's going to take me longer to do Lady of the Flag because I think she's bigger. Anyway, okay, so next, March 18th. Now, I was supposed to still work on Lady of the Flag on March 18th, and I did for a very, very, very small amount of time. However, I had a new start on the 18th, and it was my second new start of the year, which is truly extraordinary. And it is the Spooky Countdown by the Primitive Hare. And so I'll insert a preview here of what this looks like, what it will look like finished, because I don't have the cover page for it. This was started by Cheryl, and on Instagram, Cheryl is Infinite Needle, and she just happened to be looking at the calendar, and she noticed that there were, I can't remember now if it was 33 weeks, I believe, from March 18th to Halloween, specifically, and exactly 33 weeks. Of course, I'm bumbling through this. Anyway, and so coincidentally, this design has 33 sections or 33 blocks. And the majority of the blocks are really small. They're really easy to chew through. So I was like, I'm totally down. A project with an end date. It's kind of a SAL without being a true mystery SAL this year. It's Halloween themed. It's something that I could potentially have displayed this Halloween, which is extraordinary because you guys know me, I'm really far behind on all of my Halloween stitching, so I just thought this would be fabulous. And so I got it started on March 18th, and what I've decided is that I'm going to work on this every Sunday from now until Halloween, or until it's done. And my goal is to do a block per Sunday, but I'm already behind. Because the following Sunday after the 18th, on the 25th, I didn't work on this at all. And then I worked on it this past Sunday to try to play catch up, but this third block is almost full coverage, and so it's a little bit more stitch heavy than most of the blocks. Anyway, I'll play catch up, I'll get caught up, and all will be well. So before I show you my progress, this is the least organized I have ever been for a project, but these are the threads that I'm using. So it's charted in a pile of DMCs, and I'm subbing for things in stash. Some hand-dyeds. I have, well, let me take them out. I know that I replaced my black with Anchor Black. One of the grays, I'm going to use Classic Colorworks Lunar Eclipse. Just a kind of semi-solid gray, but I just thought it would be nice. My orange is replaced with, this is old label, so it's Crescent Colors, but Classic Colorworks Copper Penny. I think that every Halloween design needs some purple, and so I am adding in purple, and I'll show you how I'm adding in the purple. This is Coloring Cotton Witches Socks. Yeah, Halloween, it needs purple. The green I am replacing with Threadworks. This is Spanish Olives. And this is a lot of fun to work with. I really like this thread. I hadn't used Threadworks before, but yeah, I like that. It feels good. And the yellow I have replaced with Honeycomb. So there's sort of my color palette. I have another gray to replace, and I'm also using the DMC orange for this full coverage block because I didn't feel like dealing with 1x at a time for this full coverage block, plus I'm limited on the amount of that thread that I have, and so I just decided to use the DMC for this full coverage block. My fabric, what a nightmare fabric was for this design. I wanted so badly to dip into my XU design fabrics. I only have a couple for now, but I really wanted to use gold sand, which is on a 28 count linen, and it wouldn't fit. I tried, but I would have had like less than an inch on each side, and I just couldn't swing it, so I had to switch to the 32 count linen. So what I ended up going with, this is Gingerbread, Belfast Linen by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. This was my edition of the December Fabric of the Month, or maybe it was November, and now I can't recall. But Stephanie picked a few colors from her standard line, and you got one randomly, and you weren't sure what it was until it arrived. So I got Gingerbread. So here is where I'm at currently. And I'm really digging how this is turning out already. I'm hardly into it, but my plan was to work on this top block as I moved across on the small blocks. And so each week I would do like this border above this block and then this border above this block, etc., etc. However, I think that I'm going to rip out this border and then this one here. And I think that I'm going to stitch those either 1/2 or I'm going to replace it with some specialty stitches. Because that border is kind of boring to me. So I think I want to do something a little different. So I'm going to rip that out. And like I said, this last weekend I was trying to play catch up, so I didn't do any of that top block. I just worked on these blocks here. And you can see there, the number 2, that's where I'm working in the Witch's Socks by Color and Cotton. So some of the blocks have a number. So like this is the 2nd, and then there's the 13th has a number, and so I'll just replace the number, whatever it started with that Witch's Socks in purple. And go from there. So I'm just about halfway on this block, and so I'll try to finish that this week and then do the block after it. Yeah, I'm digging this. This is a lot of fun to work on. And this fabric is just, sorry Gerald, it's delicious. It's so good. Yeah, love that. So every Sunday, this will get a little bit of attention. And I will show this to you every week from here on out. So there is that. Okay, let's get to the doozy. Okay, so I worked on Spooky Countdown on the 18th. I actually finished up the block on the 19th, first thing in the morning that Monday. And then I was sort of at a loss for what to do next. There wasn't really anything calling to me. I didn't feel like pulling out Lady of the Flag because I just put her away. Plus I had planned on working on her at the end of the month. And so I looked at my rotation, at what I had scheduled. And what I had scheduled was Snow Castle by Heaven and Earth Designs. And so here's what it will look like finished. This is artwork by Randall Spangler. So I talked a lot in the movie about how my full coverage stitching has been lax. I haven't done much in the way of full coverage stitching. My bug and interest in it has just not been there. And so I pulled out Snow Castle and I set my expectations extraordinarily low. I was like, if I can get, I think I said 1,500 stitches done by Thursday, then I will consider that a success. And 1,500 stitches in 4 days is a lot for a lot of people. But when I tell you that this design stitches up so fast, please take that to heart. It stitches up so fast. There are, by and large, 2 or 3 colors in each block, especially at the top. And it's just really easy stitching. It's on the pre-gridded fabric. I have found a method that works for me. It stitches up so fast. But I didn't want to stress out my interest in full coverage. Like I didn't want to stress it out. So I was like, set the expectations low, and I figured I could do 1,500 stitches in 4 days. Well, 9 days later, I finally took this off the frame, and I had done 9,610 stitches in those 9 days. Yeah, so I guess the full coverage bug is back. So let me show you. What I did. My fabric is the 25 count Easy Count Lugana by Zweigart. And preview here of what it looked like the last time you saw it. I was part the way through page 2, and I am now finished page 2 and page 3. So in 9 days I finished 2 pages. Now, like I said, I was part the way through page 2, and page 3 was a half page. You can see by these threads here, like that's as wide as it went. It was only, I think it was 4.5 columns wide. Yep, so finished up that 3rd page, and I am just smitten with how it looks. I'm so happy with how it looks. You can really see the wizard floating up there. You can see these swirls here, which are connected to the smoke dragons that are a little bit lower down. There's one down here, and then there's one way down here. I'm just super, super happy with it. And it stitches up so fast. I mean, look, I dedicated an extraordinary amount of time to stitching on this. So that is partially to blame. And I had the opportunity and I had the ability to do so. But it was aided by the fact that this stitches up so quickly. So the 26th, I was supposed to, I took the day off for my stitching anniversary, and so I was just going to stitch to my heart's content as much as I wanted to. And I wasn't quite ready to put this down yet. I had just finished up page 2. Page 2 is just a little halfy, or page 3, excuse me, and so I didn't switch projects, and I just worked on this on that Monday. And that Monday was, that was a record-breaking day. I put in 2,350 stitches in one day, which for me is a record. Like, it's an insane amount of stitches in one day. But I felt really good about doing that because I passed the halfway point on page 3. So I thought, all right, a couple more days and I'll finish the page. So I come back on Tuesday and I'm stitching and it's going really quick, and I'm like, you know what? Whatever, I'll just finish it. And so 1,700 stitches on Tuesday. So I did 4,000 stitches between those 2 days, which is insane. It's absolute bananas. But I finished the page. So there it is. Now, this is not a Eurowebs piece, but I did have a year-end goal, and my year-end goal was this top row, and that's done now. So I can happily and very easily put this away for the rest of the year. People have asked me several times via Facebook or Instagram, am I really going to be able to avoid the temptation of this? And it is in moments like these where I'm really glad that I'm not a one whip at a time person, because I have so many beautiful projects. I have 7 other Heaven and Earth designs, for instance, just by this one designer that are all beautiful. And so I love how fast this stitches up. It feels really good to get a lot done quickly, but I'm not heartbroken. I'm not broken up about the fact that, like, I won't be working on this until potentially next year. Finished that up, felt really good. Felt the interest in Heaven and Earth designs and full coverage pieces sort of start to gain traction again, it's really good because I have some big full coverage goals this year, and so to be not stitching on them and not working on that, that's at my detriment. So it was really good to get that back. And now I can tackle April here with a clear conscience and with an interest in working on those things. So I finished up Snow Castle, and the next day I was back to the drawing board and I was at a loss for what I was supposed to work on. So I thought I would try what I did this past time again, and I would look to what my scheduled rotation was. Well, my rotation said in this moment by heaven and earth, and I was like, nope, I'm not, I just went wild on some full coverage stitching. I need a break. I need a break, and something that's not going to be like that. So I posted a poll on Stitch Mania, and I said, all right, guys, I need your help. Here are some options. Lady of the Flag, because I love working on her. Daisy by Cottage Garden Samplings, because that was my next year whips piece that I thought I could finish in 3 or 4 days. 2 or 3 new starts, and like a you suggest something option, I think were the choices. And let me see, I think by the end I had 80 votes for Daisy and 50 some odd votes for Lady of the Flag, and then the rest were no more than 2 or 3. And so I went with the crowd, and I went with Daisy. And in hindsight, I'm so glad that this is the one that won, because, well, I'll tell you here in a second. So this is April's Daisy from the My Garden Journal collection by Cottage Garden Samplings. And this is what it is supposed to look like finished. And a preview here of what this looked like the last you saw it, which I suppose would have been my Year of Whips preview video for 2018. So I stitched this on 32 count Belfast in Platinum by Zweigart. I started this on my birthday last year, but I started it as sort of a project to celebrate all of the April birthdays. So Platinum Linen is Annette from Annette's Acre. It's one of her favorite linens, and there's Daisies, which is Megan's favorite, and there's Bunnies for Colvin, and there's I did all or mostly a bunch of colors that were not charted, which is very much a Coffee Stitcher Garrett kind of thing to do. And there is these little chicks, and I remember one of Stephanie's videos where her son was wearing a shirt that said "Chicks Dig Me" or something like that. Anyway, so this was my happy birthday, everybody who has an April birthday sort of commemorative piece. And I finished it. I finished it very, very early, April 1st, or very, very, very late, depending on your perspective. About 1 in the morning is when I finished this, when I put in the last few stitches. So here we have it. And I wish I could express to you guys how much I love these designs. They are just so much fun. I love the font style. I love that there's like kind of a clear division between one half and the other. So like this half is the text and this half is the picture. And the same is true for most of the series. I love how symmetrical it is. I just love this. So, like I said, I changed most of the colors. I decided not to order any threads for this one. But I actually had a couple of them on hand. So there's a few DMCs, and so the DMCs that I had, obviously. And then I also had Icicle, which is in the egg down here, and also half of the petals on the white flowers. And you may be barely able to see that. Icicle is white with a little bit of blue in it, but it's like barely there blue. So it just gives a little bit of, I don't know. I'm not in love with Icicle. Not really a huge fan. What other color did I have? Oh, I had Squash. So the chicks are done in Squash. But everything else is subbed with things from Stash. My favorite thread that I used in this, it's used for the capital letters and then also for the, I guess, the umbrella portion of the umbrella. And that is Weeks Dye Works Battleship. It is this gorgeous dark gray with blues, and it's gorgeously variegated without being, I don't know, in your face. It's a gorgeous thread. If you have an opportunity to use that, get it and use it. It's pretty. I also really like the color I used for the consonants as well as the rain here. That is, it's called for Brethren Blue by the Gentle Arts, and I think I used Old Blue paint, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, it was just so much fun to stitch, and I can't wait to start the next one. I have January in my stash, and so I think I might start that. We have some snow in our forecast, which I can't believe I'm saying out loud, given that I live in Virginia and it's April. But there is potential for snow in our forecast. So I think that if that snow is of any accumulation, I might start January that day. But we'll see. So there's that. And I have the other half of this fabric to use. I already have FFO plans for this whole series, and so I know that I don't need a whole lot of margin. So that's good. So January will go there whenever I start it. And here's finish number 3 for 2018. It is also Year of Whips finish number 5. So 5 of 26. I mathed it out, and I have to do at least, I think, 3 finishes a month in order to be able to finish on time. Sometimes 3, sometimes 2, and so I'm a little bit behind, but that's okay. It's about the journey. So anyway, really, really excited to get that one finished. So here in April, I had a couple of plans outset. I had planned to start 3 things on Sunday, April 1st. It's sort of like a pseudo April Fool's joke kind of a thing, because new starts is not my jam this year, and so I thought, well, I'll start 3 things, it's totally out of character. Well, joke's on me, I never actually got to those starts, which is a bummer, but it's okay. I'll start some things sprinkled here throughout the month. I sort of joked around with Danny that the reason that I wasn't able to get those started is because I hadn't shown the charts here on my videos, and so I wasn't able to start them until you guys saw them. So I'm switching back to my originally sort of planned rotation here in April, in which, so Monday through Thursday, I work on a project. The weekends are for Heaven and Earth designs. And the reason for that is that April is crazy, and there's just a lot going on, and so on the weekends, there's one weekend in particular where I'm just probably not going to stitch at all, and so if I lose a weekend on my Heaven and Earth designs, that's okay. And so I have set forth this plan. So this first week is devoted to the Stitch Mania monthly themed sale. And the monthly theme sale for April is All That Jazz. And so we're to stitch on something somehow related to music. Now originally, I had planned on working on Lizzie Kate's Jingles, because that's one of my Year of Whips pieces for the year. And so I thought, well, Jingles, that's music, of course. However, April is my birthday month, and so I've decided that April is going to be the month of indulgences. I'm going to start things when I feel like it. I'm going to work on the things that I really want to work on, while keeping within the parameters of my rotation, because I've got to get myself back on the rotation. May's going to throw it out of whack, June's going to throw it out of whack, but April I'm going to try to follow it, because I want to. So I'm going to work on the things that I really want to work on. And what I really want to work on for this All That Jazz set, Sal, I always have a hard time calling it a Sal, like monthly theme, is Opus 2 by Long Dog Samplers. I've been craving getting back to this project. I've been really, really looking forward to it. And it just so happens that an opus, it can refer to a piece of music. It can also refer to, and it does in this case, a large artwork. It's like your proudest accomplishment in art of some form or fashion. This was long before Death by Cross Stitch, so this is not Jolie's largest project by any stretch. But an opus can also be music related, and so that's the bridge that I'm putting here, and so that's what I'm working on. So let me go ahead and show you. I'm going to insert a preview here of what this looked like the last time you saw it. This, again, would have been in my Year of Whips preview video. And here is what it will look like finished. Gorgeousness. Charted is 201 by 236. So there's that. I am stitching this on a 32 count linen by MCG Textiles in Oyster, I think. And I'm using DMC 924. Now the progress you're about to see here is quite a lot. I did a good bit of stitching yesterday to make up for the not stitching on Monday, and I got a big motif finished yesterday, so let me go ahead and show you. Oh my goodness, isn't it gorgeous? So I did this motif yesterday. I got into a good rhythm with it. I'm looking at it on the back, and it's so wonderful. This project just makes me so happy. Yeah, this is a joy to stitch. So I'm going to show you the back, because this is monochrome, so the back is what it is. But so this is that motif. I guess that's the craziest part, is the top there. So I have a long way to go on this project, but I am absolutely enjoying the progress and the process with this one. I started this in 2015. This is also known as Maggie, for Jennifer the Winter Stitcher, because she loves this project and she has a super, super sweet Maggie. Guys, I love that project. So my goal originally was to finish up page 1. And this design is split up into 6 pages. And so page 1 comes down to about here. And then it cuts off at like the behind of the dragon. So it's a pretty big page. But I have most of it done already, and today's Wednesday. I have this piece tomorrow, and actually another thing that I've decided, with Birthstone Dragon Sal, I'd used that for the everyday count Sal with the Ultimate Cross Stitch group, and that worked really well in getting me to the finish. And so I have decided from here on out that whatever project I decide to use for the Stitch Mania themed Sal or designer Sal, whichever one I go with, I'm going to use that for the Every Member Counts or Everyday Count Sal with the Ultimate Cross Stitch group. So I have this project through tomorrow, but it's going to get a lot more work than just through tomorrow, because I have to get to at least 3,000 stitches with it. So finishing up page 1 is going to get me through like day 15 of a whole month's worth. So I think I'm going to stretch it out and to include page 2, and at least part of page 2. I may not be able to get into this big motif, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm absolutely loving this. This is one of those designs where I will preload a few needles with a length of thread, and then just go to town so much fun. Yeah. And so when I finish this design, I'm going to have to start another long dog because they're wonderful. Just so much fun. So there's that. So, like I said, I'll be working on that through tomorrow and probably into the beyond. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch over to plans. So this weekend is a Heaven and Earth Designs weekend, and per my rotation, the first weekend of each month, the first full weekend of each month is devoted to the Full Coverage Fanatics monthly sale. And the monthly sale for April is, I believe it's white and or sparklies, and then also birds. And so you can fit the birds or animals or white and sparkles. And so I'm going to fit both. And I will be working on my first 3-day chunk with In This Moment by Jeremiah Kettner. And there are some white birds in this design. Now, I'm not going to get to stitch on those white birds yet. That is, let's see, the soonest I would get there is the bottom of page 15, which is in amongst my goal for the year, but not anywhere close to where I am up here. But there are white birds in this design nonetheless. No Krennic in this design, so I'm not hitting the sparklies, but that's okay. And this is also nicknamed McKenna for what I hope are obvious reasons. So let me just go ahead and show you really quickly where I'm starting from. This is on 25 Count Lugana in Cream by Zweigart. This design is massive, and yeah, there's where I'm starting from, and I'll be working on page 8 down here. Now, this project is also my By the Numbers piece, which gets 4th weekend of each month. It is also my quarterly seasonal piece, which is 2nd weekend. And 2nd weekend, which is a week from this weekend, I'm getting all sorts of jumbled up, I will be in Blacksburg. So I might not get to In This Moment that weekend, which is basically what I'm trying to say. Then 4th weekend, which is also In This Moment, I will be celebrating my birthday because that is the weekend following my birthday. My 30th and my mom's 50th. It's kind of a big deal. So we have plans for Saturday, but I don't know what's happening otherwise that weekend. So I might not have that weekend either. So the long and short of it is I might only have 3 days within this moment. And so I'm setting my sights pretty low. I'm setting it at 1,200 stitches, just enough to reach the By the Numbers minimum. Because I just don't know what this month is going to hold. 3rd weekend is the, for me, it's the quarterly elemental sal. And this quarter, it is water. And so I'll be working on Mini Pirate. So, Sarah, I will be working on Mini Pirate on 4/20, 21, and 22. So if you want to work on Pirate. I didn't bring that because I'll show that to you later. Next week, I'll be working on Lady of the Flag. So I'll show that to you the next time I film. And then 3rd week, I don't think I'm going to tell you what that is. I think I'll show that to you when I work on it. But it is a Year of Whips piece that is one of my favorites. If I had to pick a favorite of my wonderful projects, this one I'm really excited to get back to. And so we'll go from there. And like I said, spooky countdown every Sunday, although the 15th is going to be a little sketchy, so we'll see. So that is it for the plans. And here in just a second, I'm going to show you some things that I might start as and when I feel like it. Let's switch over to haul. I have a good little bit here. Good few things. And some of it were extraordinary gifts and some of it were extraordinary purchases. So let's go ahead. First off is my Color and Cotton Threads of the month for March. I'm not going through each of these because so many people already have. But these are gorgeous springy tones. I have, I believe, another set that are really autumnal and another set that's really wintry. So I think I may start a project. I bought something off eBay and the eBay seller sent me this freebie. It's just a cute little Quaker flower from Traditional Stitches, sort of a freebie that like shops would have. And so they sent me that along with the chart that I purchased. And so I think I'm going to stitch that 4 times, one for each of the seasons, using Angela's Gorgeous Cottons. I think that's what I'm going to do. So this will be the spring edition, and then I'll pull colors for the winter, fall, and summer, and we'll see what happens. So there's that. All right. Next, let's talk fabrics of the month. I just got this the other day. This is Aine? I'm not entirely sure on the pronunciation, but it is by Under the Sea Fabrics. And this is based on the Celtic goddess of love and fertility, I think. And so here it is. My subscription is a 32 count Belfast fat quarter. And it is a beautiful pink, all over pink. It's not modeled, honestly, I don't think anywhere, maybe right there. Maybe the tiniest bit of modeling there, but otherwise it's just pink. It's just pink. It's beautiful. It's just pink. That's all. So I will figure out something. This will be really easy to match for a project because it's just pink. So there's that. And it's blown out the camera a little bit. Can you even see that it's pink? It's pale pink. It's like blush. Anyway, how many times can you say pink in a minute? Next is my March fabric of the month. No, February, from Hand Dyed by Stephanie. And this is Fraser's Ridge, Outlander inspired. It did this to me the last time on Friday. This is green. It's not gray. It looks like greeny gray. It's green. Can you even see that? No, you really can't. There it is. Okay. It's more like that. It's green. It's not gray. I don't know why it shows up that color, but excuse me. This side is mostly undyed. But it's gorgeous. Not sure what's going on that, but in the stash it goes. Okay. All right, so this comes with a little bit of a story. Following the movie, I was contacted by our ever wonderful Brittany of Ingleside Imaginarium fame. And she was like, hey, question for you. Do you have those other Mill Hill Jim Shore snowmen so that you can stitch on things when you have a migraine? And I said, no, I haven't purchased them yet. Kind of trying to work from stash as much as possible. And she said, well, I would like for you to pick two Jim Shores that you would like, and I would like to send them to you. And I said, no. But thank you for thinking of me. And so we were talking a little bit more, and she said, but no, really, pick two. Just pick two. I'd really like to do this, you know. Actually, I don't think I was that blunt and said no. I said, all right, well, under a condition or two. And she said, all right, I'll accept your conditions, pick two. So I did. I narrowed it down, and I said, you know, if you're really going to do this, surprise me, and we'll go from there. Well, she surprised me. So I got this 1, 2, 3 stitch package in the mail, and so we have this gorgeous owl, and we have, this is the one that I was hoping she was going to pick. This is Perfect Christmas Santa. There's one where he is standing with a puppy dog, I think. But I'm really glad that she picked the kitty one, just because, well, I am a dog person. I have an appreciation for cats, and we all know Brittany has a couple of gorgeous kitties. And then a third one. Brittany, we agreed to 2. So this is Angel with Cardinal. So I thought that it would be really nice to have these 2 along with my snowman, because then I would have a trio, sort of like a wintry holiday trio. But I guess I have a quartet here. Because Brittany is so sneaky. So, Brittany, thank you so very much. I'm going to start one of these this week, I think. Maybe I'll start with this one, I think. Just because this one is just so very you. With that orange kitty. Yep, I think so. I might start that this week. So stay tuned. Very, very awesome. And I'm just so eternally grateful. This community, it is out of this world. Okay. Following the movie, I talked a lot about Lizzie Kate in the movie, and several people reached out to me. This community is insane and so generous, and I just don't know how to thank anybody effectively. I'm not worthy. I had a lot of people reach out to me, and they were like, hey, let me send you my issue of Promise Me, or giving me recommendations for shops that might have it, or local shops where you can call and order. They don't necessarily have a website, but you can call and order something and they'll be happy to ship it to you. Or I'm stitching it now, but I'll send you mine when I'm done. Unbelievable. Thank you to everybody. And I was almost inundated with messages of this variety. Just extraordinarily overwhelmed by the response. So thank you everybody who endeavored to help me out. However, roughly 12 hours after that video posted, I got a message from Shannon at Soldier Stitching, and she said, hey, did you know that 123 Stitch has Promised Me? And I said, I did not. Thanks, I'm going to order it now. And so I did. So I ordered Promise Me by Lizzie Kate. But a chart as valuable to me as this should never travel alone. And they had these. So these are the Celebrate with Charm for Valentine's, Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Easter. And they had all of these in stock, but they didn't have the one for St. Patty's Day in stock. I got that later because they were able to get another shipment in before Lizzie Kate officially retired this past weekend. So I now have the set. And I have officially everything by Lizzie Kate that I really actually wanted to stitch, or that I was already in the midst of collecting. So that's really great. And I was supposed to start this. This was supposed to be one of my starts this past weekend, but it just never came to fruition. Ugh, I love this. And it says, promise me you'll always remember, you're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Love that sentiment. So, I open the package from 123 Stitch from Brittany. I open the package from 123 Stitch from me. And there's a third one. I'm like, what is this? So I tear into it. Promise me. Yes, you are seeing double, but that's intentional. There are 2 of them here. So I'm like, what is this? Did they think they didn't send me the right one, and so they sent me another one? Or what happened here? So I'm looking at the address labels because I'm like legitimately stumped on what is going on here. I look at the address labels, and My name is different on each of them. I have my official PayPal name and I have my, what you guys know me as name. And so one of them says Jessica, and which sounds weird just saying it out loud. And the other says Jessie Marie. And so I'm like, okay, so this can't have come from the same place. So I pull out the invoice. It was a gift from the ever wonderful and so incredibly sweet Teresa. Teresa, you know who you are. I won't say your last name on video, but I couldn't believe it. And I felt so bad because I had already opened one. So this is just, it's insane. First of all, I don't know how Teresa got my address either. How you guys are getting my address, I don't know. But please be careful who you give my address to. So far, it's worked out just fine and no big deal whatsoever. But, like, yeah. Anyway, today's world. Anyway, this was just so extraordinarily appreciated. And so I messaged Teresa to say thank you. And she said, I hope you didn't buy it. And I said, funny you should mention, I actually did. And I said, but I have a plan. This one I know is the one that she sent me. Because this one, it's just, the corner's just a little bit bent up. So even though they are two of the exact same thing, I'm going to stitch this one. And then, not today, but I'm going to give this one away. So, like, don't say anything about a giveaway or wanting this or whatever in the comments today because it's irrelevant today. I will make a mention of it a little bit later. But I'm going to stitch this one from Teresa, and so I will think of Teresa while I'm stitching this because what an extraordinarily sweet gift. Yeah, I do adore that. So wonderful. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. And so, like I said, I'll stitch this, or I'll give this one away at a later date. Like I said, this community, it is insane. Okay, so I told you I ordered the St. Patty's Day Celebrate with Charm, and I also ordered some needles. Well, that's not really enough to put in an envelope from 123 Stitch, so I ordered something else that has been on my wish list a while. And this is Quaker Handiwork by With Thy Needle and Thread. Oops, that way. And this is beautiful, and Quakers. I mean, so this is just really gorgeous. And I didn't know this, but this is stitched over one. It is 178 wide by 105 high, and the finished stitch design is 9 7/8 by 5 3/4. So there's no way that is over 2. And when you look at it, if it's never going to come across on camera, but when I look at it real close, it's definitely over 1. So mine's either going to be ginormous, or I'm going to stitch it over 1. This is on 35 count. Love this. So this is my first Brenda Gervais pattern. Yeah, I know. Welcome, Jessie, to the 21st century. But yeah, love that. So got that. I also got my 3rd installment of the Farmhouse Christmas. I've got mine from Trisha at 3 Owl Threads. She's doing big things over there. But I've got Farmhouse Christmas at least from her. So this is Grandpa's pickup. Yeah. Super cute. Most everybody's already finished it, but there it is. And the last thing that I got, I'm looking at this here and I'm like, this was an impulse buy. It was like, it was an impulse buy, but it also wasn't. So I'm watching FlossTube one day. And more specifically, I'm watching the videos following the Dutch retreat, the Dutch Stitchers retreat. Now, the weekend of the Dutch Stitchers retreat, I wanted to be absolutely anywhere but the United States because we had the retreat in the Netherlands going on, and then there was also Edinburgh Yarn Festival in Scotland. I wanted to be at both of those places at once, and instead I was here in Virginia. But so following that weekend, I was watching some of the retreat videos, still giggling about the haul joke. That's just hilarious. And I'm watching Stitch M's recap. And she shows this design that she's been working on a while. And then I'm perusing Instagram and it pops up there on Instagram and she's doing a stitch along for this piece on Instagram. And so Emma, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. I, along with, I don't know, everybody, have been after and looking at The Good Housewife as of late. Because Anne, who is the mind behind The Good Housewife, recently started reprinting and selling her designs again through an Etsy shop. And so she's re-releasing them because she's noticed the extraordinary asking prices on eBay for secondhand copies and whatnot. And so to combat that, she's selling them again. And so I have been able to avoid temptation for Book of Spells, for Ida May Crow, for several of the Good Housewife designs that she's re-released already. But for some reason, seeing Stitch M's progress on this design, I had to order it immediately. Maybe it was just overwhelming want, I don't know. But this is With My Needle by The Good Housewife. And this cover picture does nothing for this design whatsoever. If you want to see what this really looks like, look up Stitch M on Instagram or on YouTube. Do both, actually. She's not only hilarious, but also she's made some really great progress on this, and it's absolutely stunning. I think that part of that probably has to do with the gorgeous extra design fabrics that she's using, but still, gorgeous. And so the text reads, flowers, plants, and fishes, beasts, birds, flies, bees, hills, dales, plains, pastures, skies, seas, rivers, trees. There's nothing near at hand or furthest sought, but with my needle may be shaped and wrought. Ugh, I don't know why, but this design just totally gets me, and it's beautiful, and I can't wait to start this. It's pretty big. It's 138 wide by 227 high. She wants you to stitch it on 40 count, so I'll have to have a look at that because it's pretty big. But yeah, gorgeous. And so hopefully that doesn't send me down this path where I send all of my money to Anne, even though I totally could. Although, as Stitch M said, I paid £1 million less than she did for this. It's because it's been re-released and it's not absolutely gouging level prices. I love designers that are not only willing but also able to do that, because Anne should be the one profiting from her designs, not a stitcher who's looking for a quick buck. Anyway, so there we have it. So everybody, thank you so much once again for sitting through another long one. I hope that you got lots of progress done while you were watching or listening. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you all so very much for your subscriptions. Thank you for your likes and your wonderful comments. Thank you for this community of which I cannot imagine my life without. I cannot imagine my life without FlossTube. Because you guys are my people, and so I'm very much so very grateful for you. So thank you very much. I will see you guys next time, and I will also see you in New Jersey. Bye-bye. Say hey everybody, it's FlossTube time. Can you high five? You can? Oh, that's so good. That's good boy. That's a good boy. Say hi, Bubs. Thor's here. Thor's here. Yeah. Are you having a good day so far? I know, it's been mostly sleeping. It's been mostly sleeping. Okay. Are you done? Is your guest appearance over? Oh, you're going to tilt your head? Are you tilting your head because I'm asking you a question? Really? You don't say. Well, okay. Just keep tilting.